do you watch videos with subtitles turned on? If you're a regular viewer of my channel, then about 1 in 4 of you would say yes, at least some of the time. Though I am far from perfect, I pride myself on offering a somewhat accurate subtitle option on every one of my new videos because a lot of people rely on them. Subtitles and closed captions, which aren't quite the same thing but I'll be using the terms pretty much interchangeably, are invaluable accessibility tools. They allow deaf and hard of hearing people to better experience a video, they can help audiences overcome the language barrier, and for everyone else, they can make up for the fact that you don't want to spend more than 20 quid on a new microphone. But a lot of YouTubers do not provide closed captions, or only provide YouTube's automatically generated option. That's fine, especially if you're a smaller creator just finding their feet, but I'm of the opinion that if you spend a significant amount of time and money making videos that a lot of people are going to see, then it is your duty as a creator to make that video as accessible to as many people as possible, within reason. This is not a video about subtitles. Okay, it is a bit about subtitles, but it's also about accessibility. This is a video about why accessibility is so important, even when creators and companies have every reason in the world to forget about it. And to explain why, I want to start by highlighting the gold standard for captions that other channels should aspire to achieve. You don't get any points for guessing. So when I first envisioned this video, I thought this would be the section where I compared the captions on the newest Eddsworld videos to older ones where Ed never bothered to include them. But it turns out, almost every video on the channel has immaculate closed captioning. With very few exceptions, you can go back to pretty much any video on the channel and expect it to have accurate English subtitles. Episodes that are just music videos for existing songs are now lyric videos. Episodes with no dialogue at all have a caption right at the start telling you as much. Videos where these subtitles are already baked in across the bottom of the screen in massive letters, you can still enable subtitles that are more accurate and are fully customizable in YouTube's video player. The punctuation is preserved, including quotation marks and capitalization where necessary, and care has been taken to not prematurely spoil jokes a lot of the time. Not only that, did you know that some Eddsworld episodes are available in multiple different languages? For a while there, Google had this incredible community contribution system that allowed users to voluntarily submit subtitles for any video, as well as translated subtitles, video titles, and descriptions. The feature was scrapped in 2020 for a number of reasons, but a lot of videos from before that time still have closed captions that were submitted by the community. As a result, some Eddsworld videos from before 2020 have been translated to over 20 different languages. And that's not even including auto-translated captions, which will never be perfect, but they can now be translated from the official captions instead of the automatically generated ones. So I imagine the results are a little bit more legible. I'm serious, Eddsworld sets the gold standard for accessibility and they didn't even have to do that much. That's not to undersell what an achievement that is. Almost all of the back catalogue was done in 2015 by Eddsworld's editor at the time, Elliot Goff, who, after editing videos across YouTube for nearly a decade, is now working for a video game company. He had to go back and transcribe the entire series, which was certainly time-consuming and tedious. But it was made completely achievable because YouTube's captioning system is genuinely incredible. Remember when I said that all my newer videos have closed captions? To be honest with you, that's no longer a difficult task at all. In all my years making content for this platform, YouTube has never made it easier to add closed captions to your videos, and I don't think we talk about it enough. For somebody like myself who builds videos around a script, I can just copy and paste a wall of text into the platform's subtitle editor, and it will sync my words to the text almost instantly. The AI is smart enough to work with the discrepancies, and you can edit the whole thing in case the script doesn't exactly match the recorded dialogue. Some people don't make videos from a script, and captioning those videos can be harder, but YouTube still makes the task so much easier than it could be. Sometimes when you enable subtitles on a video, you'll get this unending stream of text with no punctuation. This is YouTube's auto-generated subtitle feature, and to be honest with you, these are pretty decent all things considered. Within 24 hours of uploading, most videos will already have a transcript which is somewhat accurate, synced to the video in much the same way as a live TV broadcast. and given how much speech recognition technology has improved over the years, it rarely makes errors nowadays. The system still makes errors though, especially on unusual words like toward and Eddsworld, or homophones like picture and pitcher. If you're having trouble understanding a word, then there's a good chance the AI will as well, especially if the dialogue is quieter. The lack of punctuation also leaves room for ambiguity, there's no indication of sound effects, and in cases where 2 or more people are speaking, some users may benefit from some kind of indicator. Auto-transcription is still lacking in those departments. Just imagine if you were allowed to edit those subtitles. If you could take those automatically generated words and improve upon them, it wouldn't be a Herculean task to make those good subtitles great. Some punctuation here, a few corrections there, and you'd have better subtitles than 99.9% of videos in almost no time at all. And that is exactly why YouTube lets you do that. It is so easy. It takes some time to be sure. This method does require much more human effort, especially when you're doing it at scale. But you don't have to manually type every word or labor over the exact timing of each sentence. The website does almost all the work for you. There are still changes I would like to see. The editor can be a little clunky, and while viewers can set the color and position of text, it's not possible for creators to do the same thing without third-party software. Still, we take this incredible system for granted. With tools this good, accessibility should be the standard, not the exception. I'm often confused by some of the bigger channels that don't include captions, the ones who spend weeks or even months on shorter videos that already have a completed script to build subtitles around. If I illustrate any examples of channels without closed captioning, it's not because I want to name and shame. It's because those channels are already so good with such high attention to detail in their research and their scripts and their editing that I'm surprised they don't take that final step that almost anybody can do. Auto-generated captions are fine. One could even call them great. One of the most underappreciated aspects of this platform is the incredible video player, and the fact that it offers some level of accessibility on almost every single video is a crowning achievement. Artificial intelligence in this field will only get better, and maybe someday auto-captions will be indistinguishable from human-generated ones. For now though, when the alternative is so much better for so little effort, why would anybody settle for second best? Making videos can be very time consuming. For every video I make, I need to do research, write a script, gather clips, record the voiceover, edit the whole thing together with music and visuals, create a thumbnail, create a title and description, all of which takes time. That's how I like to do it. I like having control over the entire process, but it takes time. I don't have an upload schedule. I make videos at my own pace, and all my content is scripted, making transcription a much easier task for me. Because of the way I make videos, I'm allowed to spend more time on the fun parts and pay attention to small details like subtitles that aren't strictly necessary, but dramatically improve the experience for some people. Smaller channels don't have that luxury. Those just starting out have to optimize for reaching a wider audience, and a lot of them build their identity on multi-hour long content, sometimes unscripted, sometimes published several days a week. Captioning isn't particularly difficult, but depending on the kind of content you make, the process may be necessarily long and tedious and creatively unfulfilling. The time it would take to add captions could also be spent improving thumbnails and marketing and SEO, or just making the next video and having another roll of the dice with the algorithm. That's the unfortunate choice a lot of channels have to make. And because captioning is such a boring step of the process that not everybody is going to appreciate in the same way as something like a good editing job, it often never gets done. Dan Olson points out that accessibility options are rarely directly profitable enough for producers to invest in without
being compelled by an outside force.
They are incredibly valuable for those who need them, but there's no incentive tied to captioning beyond the goodwill of the content creator and maybe the promise of more viewers as the channel grows large enough. Captioning absolutely can bring in more long-term viewers, but again, depending on the kind of content you make and the audience you reach, those benefits aren't always as obvious as those associated with just making another video. If only creators weren't expected to provide subtitles themselves, Just imagine if we had some way to outsource the job of subtitling to our most devoted and loyal followers, like some kind of community contribution system. Oh wait! So, the community contribution system was not perfect. It was prone to spam, abuse, and low-quality submissions, and those submissions appeared on less than 0.2% of watch time. So, only about 2 million hours per day in 2020. Not that much. Anybody could submit captions for their favorite creators, but according to those who used it, the creators wouldn't be notified about submissions unless they checked a specific part of the creator studio. Moderating was also left up to the YouTuber, an especially difficult task when submissions were in a foreign language. There was also never any incentive to contribute accurate subtitles. Some volunteers, and YouTubers for that matter, would use closed captions as a way to deliver extra jokes. Moments without dialogue would have silly commentary, some of the onomatopoeia would be altered for comedic effects, that kind of thing. If you don't need accurate subtitles to understand those videos, then it can be a genuinely fun experience. But remember, a lot of people rely on that feature. Making subtitles purposefully inaccurate makes them a worse accessibility tool. Tomscar used to do these jokes, and while those subtitles are still available, they aren't the default anymore, which is for the best. It's like pirates speak on Minecraft or ye olde English in TF2. It'll be fun for a few minutes, but I'll take regular English any day of the week. With all that said, I still believe that community contributions did a lot of good and shouldn't have been abandoned before they tried to fix it. Just ask any Eddsworld fan who doesn't speak English but was able to experience the show in a foreign language. I have viewers from Brazil and Russia and Italy who could benefit from subtitles in their native tongue, but I only speak one language, and it wouldn't be financially viable for me to hire translators for every new video. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who'd be willing to subtitle my videos in another language, but that's no longer possible without a load of hassle that nobody wants to go through. I sure wouldn't feel comfortable publishing any sort of subtitles without some kind of automated moderation, which the old community contribution system could have provided. There are also much more important videos out there which should be translated, but that's beside the point. Some of the problems were easier to solve than others, and most professional creators would still have to do the job themselves. But they couldn't have tried notifying YouTubers about submissions? Incentivizing volunteers, automatically flagging subtitles that were particularly inaccurate, at least keeping the system unchanged for those who really needed it and used it often. I'm not saying these would be easy fixes, but there was so much potential in a system that so many people found useful that scrapping the whole thing just strikes me as thoughtless and inconsiderate. You might be completely on board with everything I'm saying, or you might think it's really not that big of a deal. Not every video will have perfect closed captions, and asking YouTubers to do it themselves will take time away from making other videos. Why should it matter when so few people benefit from subtitles? You know those dips you get in the pavement sometimes? Why do you think those exist? If you've used them, how have you used them? They were initially designed to ensure that disabled people who use wheelchairs, scooters, and other mobility devices could navigate to and from a walkway. In practice, however, these curb cuts turned out to be useful to all sorts of groups. Able-bodied people using prams and trolleys, delivery workers, cyclists, skateboarders, all of these people can benefit from a feature that was designed for the disabled in mind. This is called the curb cut effect, and you can find this effect wherever accessibility is improved. In video games, visual indicators, difficulty modes, and button remapping help people with certain disabilities to better enjoy a game. They can also improve the experience for anybody who likes customizability. Subtitles are an example of the curb cut effect in action in the digital age. About 60% of Gen Z prefer using subtitles when watching shows and movies. Some point to the added immersion provided by subtitles, others find dialogue hard to understand even when they have perfect hearing. As technology has improved, filmmakers have changed the way they work with audio, but speaker technology in our personal devices hasn't really kept up. Clear dialogue can get sacrificed, and subtitles provide a solution to that. Even when the audio is technically perfect and legible, there are plenty of situations where subtitles can be useful for those without hearing impairments. With more globalized media, you're more likely to be presented with unfamiliar accents and people speaking in a second language. Subtitles can help those who struggle to understand those accents. You may need to watch a video in public without headphones or quietly in a house when someone else is trying to sleep. Maybe you just like reading the words as they're spoken. Some people find subtitles to be distracting, and that's okay. They're a toggleable option for a reason. That being said, even if subtitles were only useful to some deaf and hard of hearing people, they'd still be worth investing in. Those who need accessibility features like captions have just as much right to inhabit the world and enjoy entertainment as anybody else. Those rights shouldn't be withheld if their needs don't align with the majority of the population. I'm willing to bet that most people don't seek out shows with audio description, stage performances with sign language, or cinemas with autism-friendly screenings. But for a select group of people, those options are necessary and should never be taken away. The curb cut effect can be a useful narrative for selling others on accessibility. That's why I went through all of those examples just now. But in telling that narrative, we may end up writing the disabled out of their own narrative and forgetting about accessibility for the sake of the civil and human rights of disabled people. This paper I'm quoting actually uses subtitles as an example of why this narrative can be so dangerous when left unchecked. Even after they hit the airwaves, captions were oftentimes filled with inaccuracies that made them less useful to those who really needed them. But basic quality standards weren't implemented in the United States until 2014. The paper argues that it took so long because there weren't enough benefits to enough non-disabled people to justify the cost of improving the service. When YouTube got rid of community contributions, they cited low engagement as a primary justification. I am extraordinarily grateful that YouTube cares enough about accessibility to develop and provide such fantastic, powerful, and easy to use tools for creators to make their videos more accessible to everybody. Though I wish they did more, my videos can only have subtitles because the website does so much of the work for me. If I had to do everything the old-fashioned way, manually typing everything into another piece of software, maybe I'd still go through the effort, but I don't have to make that decision. So long as I make videos in the way that I do, I will try to keep providing subtitles for those who need them. And here's the thing, I don't need them. I'm not deaf or hard of hearing, I don't have an audio processing disorder, and plot twist, I like to watch most things with subtitles turned off. But I'm grateful that YouTube cares so much about accessibility because I know how many people benefit from it. The numbers are right there. Smaller channels, they get a pass. Podcast channels, Let's Play channel, any channel that makes long, frequent, unscripted content, I completely get it. For everyone else, we take these tools for granted. And if more YouTubers started utilizing the tools provided to us, making our videos more accessible to even more people, that can only be a good thing.